This is Total Sport on BBC Radio Newcastle and on BBC Sound. You can listen back to the programme if you miss a bit because something happens or someone comes to the door. You can rewind us on BBC Sound, but you can also go back and listen to previous episodes as well. Do a couple of Sunderland messages and then we'll come to performance of the weekend, etc. This one from Paula. Danny says, I am a pragmatist. I'm sure that Sunderland fans would have been ecstatic if at the start of the season they'd been told they wouldn't lose a home match until February. Even though we're more likely to end up in a playoff place in May now, we have to dust ourselves down after the last two disappointments, maybe adjust our style to combat defensive-minded opponents and hit back on Friday at Sheffield Wednesday. And actually, kind of in relation to that, Michelle sent a message as well to say, what worries me, Danny, is that we seem incapable of finding a way to win against clubs who keep everyone in the box, defending, constantly just shooting into the wall. And it got us nowhere. And there is a kind of a statistic to back that up, which was that Sunderland had 17 shots on goal and only 2 of them made it
target.
On target.
Listen, it's difficult at whatever level you're at. You know, Man City come up against this most weeks certainly when they're at home. Teams go there, take part of the bus or sit deep in a low block. It's difficult, whatever level you're at, to break it down, really. Most teams are going to come there with a game plan, and it's worked for Hull. Sit in, look for the counter-attack and break forward, and they did. And they could have had a couple more as well on the counter-attack. So we're going to have to try and adapt and maybe tweak the system. Obviously, personnel coming back in, Romain will be back in out on that left-hand side for Enzo. What he does on the right-hand side, we'll have to wait and see. Does he give Patrick a break as well and maybe look at bringing Mayenda in out there? There's options in there for me now in the squad to try and freshen it up. And obviously, if you're not getting results, managers tend to do that, don't they? Try and sort of get a winning formula going again. So we'll have to wait and see. But still 12 games to go. And as I mentioned there, we've got West Brom, we've got to go with Coventry as well. So these teams who are coming up the rails are just tucked in behind us as well. So it's going to be interesting, but got confidence in the lads to turn it around.
And one more, just because we've talked about fatigue so much, David says Hull benefited from an extra 2.5 days rest and recuperation, particularly when you take into account the intensity of the Leeds game as well, and says Sunderland looked very lethargic. Probably if it's Saturday versus Sunday doesn't make a huge difference, but is 2.5 days enough to make a difference? Newcastle have got the same in comparison to Liverpool before Wembley as well.
Yeah, obviously we played Leeds on Monday night, didn't we, last week? And